Hello, friends, and welcome to CareersTalk. My name is Ran Sharma, an agile consultant based in the Netherlands, and it brings me immense joy to present Preeti today. She accomplished an impressive achievement by successfully passing three interviews with companies such as Philips, TCS, and PwC. And maybe by the time this session will be live, few more. So this is part two of our series featuring Preeti, where we are going to cover situational and behavioral interview questions. And the link to the part one you can find in the description, which you can watch later on. And friends, part three coming soon. So to ensure that you don't miss any upcoming sessions, subscribe to our channel. And if you find value in our content, which I'm sure you will, please, I will highly encourage you to show your support by liking the video and sharing your thoughts, feedback in the comment section. Also, friends, we offer a premium membership that serve as a gesture of appreciation and grant access to exclusive content tailored specifically for our members. And also, you will be part of our discussion WhatsApp group community. Also, if you want to join our mentorship program, if you're, let's say, from a non-IT background, or you want to become a Scrum Master, please do message me on LinkedIn or on email. You can check the description for details. Okay, so enough talking. So without further delay, let's extend a warm welcome to Preeti. Preeti, welcome. Over to you, Preeti.
Thank you, Sinan sir. Thank you so much.
Sir,
It will.
you again calling me sir.
Thank you, Sinan. Thank you so much for this
Okay,
opportunity again.
wonderful. I am so happy to see you again. Cool. So if you allow, shall we start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, so the very first one question for this session is specific to the sprint planning. So, as a Scrum Master, can you describe any specific instances during the sprint planning where team members struggle with accurately estimating the story points, and how do you, as a Scrum Master, facilitate that estimation process to break down the user stories effectively, dice them, slice them, and how you guide the team basically towards that reliable effort estimation or assignments of those story points, right? So how do you work with the uncertainties in the estimation, and you collaborate with your team, with the stakeholders to align the expectations? So it's a question with lot of sub questions. So let's see, Preeti. uh,
Yeah. Yeah, I'll
please.
take
Yeah.
it one by one. So, yeah, so whenever we start with the estimation, so we see a lot of queries will come and there will be some new team members. So, lot of disagreements also come. So, we need to take it step by step. So your first initial step is like creating a collaborative environment between them. So, people should be open enough to give their opinion, and they should be able to discuss and understand the complexity in that user story, and then they should start committing for the the story points or anything. So when we start with the estimations, so and then comes the breaking down the user stories. So we usually like we take the help of the developers, and we usually break down the user stories at the initial stage to make it smaller enough, because when we go for the user stories, this practices, right? So one of the practice says that user story should be such a small enough that it should be simple, estimatable. Okay, so we take the help of the business analyst or whoever is there in the team, and we break down to a smaller user story, so which team will be able to understand and add their small tasks. So not the big tasks. So we again help them to break it. Some people say that maybe in 1 week I'll be able to achieve this. No, that would be more confusing for the team members. So we again try to break it down to a very smaller chunk of the task, like which can be achieved in single day. We tell them you can go ahead and estimate. You can use the Fibonacci series for the estimation of the user stories, which will help them to relatively understand from the previous user stories. There we try to help them with the processes which we incorporate while we implement the scrum ceremonies, and then leveraging using historical data and reference user story. So as I mentioned, so we usually we tend to ask them to compare with the previous user stories, which are similar, which are having the similar kind of complexities, uncertainties. So we try to tell them to just compare, do the relative estimation comparing with that, and take a reference of those user stories and provide, so which will help them to understand more and try to provide the accurate estimations. And then comes to a part of addressing the estimation uncertainties. So these will come when we try to dig into the user stories, when it has been explained by a PO or a BA in the member. Sometimes some people will not be able to understand the complexities in those user stories. So what we do is like if they have given five, someone has given as five, the Fibonacci series I'm talking, someone has given as five or some other person has given three. So we ask them to estimate the lower number and the higher number. We ask them to discuss. So when they discuss, when they collaboratively address the uncertainty there, then they will come to know that how much complex is that user story. Is it really five they can estimate if it is more complex, or is it three if it is having less complexities? So again, we will be taking the estimations from them. That's how we come to a conclusion for the estimations. And so we will be using different estimation technologies also to help. Like we say, before the pandemic and also lockdown starts, it was in-person estimations plannings used to happen. That time we used to use the flashcards, and in our mobiles the planning poker we used to use and show it. But when it became virtual, so then we started using the planning poker app and online scrum poker methodology techniques. So these also are very helpful. So for me, I found scrum poker is very best technique to use. And we have estimation techniques available in ADO as well. There also we have option to provide the estimations. We can use all these tools and refine our estimations. And then collaborate. Next final step comes is like a collaborate with the stakeholders. And though we have provided our estimations, we have broken into multiple tasks, so but we should know that are we aligned with what is the commitment for that user story, and are we aligned with the expectation of the customer. That plays more important role when we provide the estimation and when we define the role, when we define the goal for the sprint. So these are the multiple steps which I usually use in my team to help the team members to understand for the make their estimation easy.
Okay, wonderful, Preeti. Thank you for that. Okay, so you mentioned about Fibonacci series, right? So
Yeah.
why do we use the Fibonacci series for story point estimation in Agile? Is it like, can you share the rationale behind this method and how it benefit the estimation process? So can just dig out a little deep into this?
Yeah. So when we see Fibonacci series, so we see the numbers in that is like 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and 21, the numbers. So you can see that however the number is going, there is a gradual more gap between the numbers. So that shows that like how much we can, how much complex user stories we can accommodate. So how much gap we can give for the in the different types of user stories. So here what we do is when we give an estimation, then we go for the relative sizing, as I mentioned. So what is relative sizing? So we compare the user stories. So previously, if I have given as 5, so I check the current one, whether it is having the same complexity. Then I choose 5 only for this one. This would be very easy for the team members to provide the estimations. So when we provide the hours estimation, that time sometimes psychologically we feel that team is more pressurized. Oh, I need to burn my 6 hours, I need to burn 9 hours for this user story. So if I have don't burn tomorrow, it will be highlighted like that. The psychologically also there will be a pressure under the team. But when we give the Fibonacci series, so they will be thinking, they know the estimations like how much time it may take to complete. So it is approximate, they will be knowing, so they will be completing with the open mind of those user stories. They will be able to complete the tasks under them. And so it gives us to help us to avoid the false precision as well. So if we mention that I'm going to complete it in 12 hours, and if I'm going to take more hours, then it gives, it keeps on our backlogs keeps on getting piled up. so we will not be able to complete those tasks. So in that case situation, so if we know that like people are not able to complete in 12 hours, so instead of giving as 6 hours or 12 hours, so we help them to mention, if you think that previous user story has taken story point as 2, if you think that there can be more uncertainties, then you can go with 3, not as the hours. You will have a little buffer time also for to complete that user story. So this is how we help them. So and it helps in the non-linear growth as well for the team. And so we try to make it bring the simplicity and consistency. Okay, and and this will help in measuring the velocity of the team members as well. So we can see we can we take the past data from the previous sprints, and we tell that what is our velocity. This helps in adding the user story also in the current sprint. And so we try to incrementally increase the volume of the team. So that time we see that previously how much we had committed, what was the capacity of the team. So can we gradually start increasing the velocity of the team by not pressurizing them, but by encouraging them, saying that so last sprint, so we have taken the similar user stories, we have done it in this much time, and we are already experienced. We know that what kind of complexities are there in those user stories. So if we have understand, usually first time addressing the complexities becomes very difficult, but it comes the second time, then we will be knowing how to address those. Then we can say that can we increase the velocity of our team, because we already know the what kind of complexities will be coming, because this is a similar kind of user stories. In this case it helps a lot for us. And I will give one more example. Like this was given to me by my first trainer when I was trying to understand the Fibonacci series. He gave a very simple example of layman. He told like when we are constructing a building, so when we construct the ground floor, so we know that for the base we need to put lot of efforts, then first floor will come. A- and then when we are building the second floor, so we know not, we know need not to put the base there, already the first floor has been constructed. Then when we go for the second floor, comparatively we can say that it's having the less efforts there. Okay, similarly, when we go for third and fourth floor, there we see that it might be difficult for the users to climb up to the fourth floor. There we need to consider, we need to implement a lift also in that. So we need to consider those unknown personas coming in, and unknown complexities. These are called the uncertainties. We don't know whether we need to come up with a lift there or not, or we can go with only the stairs. So if we feel that we are going with only the stairs, then we will give the same estimation which we took for the first, second, and third floor. Ground floor is has consumed more time. First, second, third, we can give the similar estimation. But we think that for the fourth floor, if we are going to implement a lift, then comparatively we can give little more estimation there. If we have taken 8 for first, second, third, then we can go with the 13. So this is how we do the relative estimation to cover the uncertainties, personas, and the complexities which may occur in our user stories while completing these user stories. So if we give exact hours, then it will be difficult for the team to achieve in those exact time. So we need to consider the buffer. That's why we rely on the Fibonacci series.
Great for that elaborated answer, Preeti. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on. You heard about process mapping?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, okay. So let's assume that you are part of a complex project that have multiple teams and multiple stakeholders, and there you have to do this mapping. You have to map the process flow basically, right? So how do you conduct this process mapping workshop, and what different techniques you will use? For example, visual modeling technique, or something like, for example, swim diagrams or value stream maps. So how you are going to do that? Like how
yeah.
do you engage different cross-functional teams and gather their feedback? And we have to also ensure that accuracy and the alignment of all these process maps along with the business goals and the customer needs. So it's a complete package, right? So how you are going to do that as a scrum master, Piti?
Yeah. So when you say the process mapping, this involves the end-to-end flow for us. So first and foremost thing is like aligning with the business objective and what are the customer needs. So first we need to define the objective and what are the customer need. That should be very clear for the whoever are their initial team members. Like a PO should be very clear with this, and like maybe a architect is involved. They should be very clear with this, and then that those details will pass on to the team members. For that we do a pre-workshop. So before we start with the work plannings and all, so we do the pre-workshop. The objective of these pre-workshop is like to identify the bottlenecks and improving the efficiency, and we identify the key team members, so who are having the subject matter expertise, who is and like who are other team members, so who need to work on this. So what are the different tools we require to achieve this, what are the technologies are required to come up with to complete this user story or that epic. So for those to achieve the needs of the customer, so we will be doing a pre-workshop. Okay, so here we do value stream mapping. So we usually, why? Because so value stream mapping helps us to understand from where the requirement is coming until we give the output to customer. So it will be having the end to end journey of complete the project life cycle will be involved in that. Okay, so this helps us to map the end-to-end process workflow, and then we while we mapping this one, so we request the team members to start with the brainstorming for these activities. So even they should, when we explain the objective and the requirement to the team, so they should be capable enough, because they might have seen the similar project. If people are new in the project, similar, if they don't know the technical expertise, subject matter expertise would be there, they will be helping them. So with using the brainstorming activities, we will come up with the epics features, and then the user stories and all, then what are the different processes involved in this, like that. So and one more advantage of value stream mapping is we will come to know that so which are the value addition for us, which process is value addition, and which can be eliminated from that process. Those also we can identify from the value stream mapping. That is the major technique we use. And so when we come up with all these brainstorming activities and all, then we need to start with the documenting these workflow diagrams, and there will be a standard templates provided by the stakeholders or the company. So we use those document templates and we document these workflow diagrams. Then comes is the validation of these process maps. So whatever we have mapped the processes documentation, so we need to verify the data, okay, accuracy of the data and all, so we need to verify. And then so what is the ultimate goal we will be achieving as part of this one is like uh, by following these pre-workshops and involving coming up with the value stream mapping and involving different processes in this. So with this we will help the team engage in the cross-functional activities. Okay, and so it will help the team to gather the process related data, and we will be collecting the feedback from the team, and then we will be validating whether we have adopted the right process or not, to map these complete processes, and also whether we have used identified the right processes which are suiting our project. It can be a complex or simple project, but whether it is suiting our project also, we will be validating that. And then we will be checking the accuracy. So we will ensure that we are having the accuracy, completeness, and then alignment. Main thing is like aligning with the business needs and business objective, customer needs. That is the main thing. So by doing all these processes, are we aligning to the objective of the customer business need? That is more important. So when we do this process end to end mapping, that is the end goal, to ensure whether we are on track with our business needs. That's the more thing. Yeah.
Great, Preeti, for that elaborated
Yeah.
answer. I hope like we will conduct one value stream session.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, guys, if you want value stream session from Preeti, put in a comment box. If we get a lot of
Sure.
comments, we will have one, session, and you can also join us in that workshop. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so the next question is on uh, sprint, mid sprint priority change. So let's assume that you are a scrum master, and how you are going to manage this mid sprint priority changes. Somehow it happens some
Yeah.
of the times. So how do you evaluate the impact of these new requests on the sprint, how you assess the feasibility, and how you communicate this change to your team to adjust their goals? That's very important, right? So if you want
Yeah.
to, yeah, share your thoughts on that, really.
Yes. So whenever there is a mid-sprint, any priority changes happens. So first and foremost thing is like we need to assess the impact on the current sprint. Okay, so are we going to achieve the goal by adding this in our current sprint, or can we take in addition to the current goal what we have added? So can we take it? And then we have to evaluate. So what is the urgency for this changing the priority? So why customer has requested, or why the PO has requested to change the priority in middle of the sprint? And then after that, so it should be very transparent with the team as well. So we need to have a collaborative discussion with the team, so whether team is agreeing or not. Maybe we are mid in this, in the mid of the sprints already, then it will be difficult for them also to switch the context. So that time we need to take the agreement from team as well, and we have to tell them what is the importance of changing this priority, why customer is need this priority, this user story to be prioritized in mid. So these all we try to understand at the initial stage. Uh, the special important part of the sprint ceremony would be always the sprint review. We have to come up with the demoable the content from out of our sprint. So that time we check also that end of the sprint, are we having any working model to demo at the end of the sprint? So when we have the sprint review, are we capable enough of giving something working model to the customer? So if not, we need to align with the customer as well, mentioning that because of this change we are not able to give something working. So whatever was the prioritized, maybe that we will be able to deliver, but the goal what we had defined for the current sprint, maybe that we will not be able to demo during our review. That also we have to be in line with the customer, so we need to be very transparent with them. And so managing their expectations, so sometimes they expect that what we have mentioned to them, like we'll be delivering, they might be expecting this priority with addition to the goal what we have committed. So we need to be very clear with them. So whether we are able to achieve the goal plus this new priority, or only the new priority will be delivered, or so a little part of the committed goal, partial goal would be delivered plus the priority, that we need to take the decision and need to be very clear with mention them that we need to be clear with their expectation as well. We need to keep the clear expectation with them. Okay, and we say usually we go for the continuous improvement. Every end of the sprint, we go for the continuous improvement. So retrospective is part of one of the continuous improvement. There we evaluate all these things, like why the scope creep is there, why the priority is getting changed. Those we need to discuss and address, so that it will not repeat. There might be some situation that it might be a critical thing which is breaking the system or something, that's why the priority has changed. That those are unavoidable situations, so we have to change the goal, or keep it as an additional work for us and take it, but it should not be the practice always. So for that we need to have a mitigation step with us. So we need to always keep alternate option with us, that how we can mitigate if such priority is changing or scope creep comes again into the sprint.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for that, Preeti. Great. Let's move on. Okay, so this one is one of my favorite. So can you please explain the difference between a risk and an issue? And if you can share some of the examples based on your experience, that will be great.
Okay. Yeah. So when we say risk, risk when it is like a future, we anticipate earlier itself in the future. So this would be during when we do planning, and also we check how is the process, what process we are implementing, or what kind of data we require. I will start with an example only. So when we were doing one of our projects, so we needed lot of data from different stakeholders. So that time we started mapping all our risks. So if this and milestones were already mapped, so we had given them already the milestones, and on these days we are going to deliver these mep values. But so if we have to deliver these, we need to get the data on time. So that's very important. There we started mentioning the risk. If we are not getting the data from the stakeholder, dependent stakeholder, we will not be able to each, like maybe POC we will not be able to complete, or the wave one we will not be able to complete. Like that we started mapping the dependencies. So by this you might have come to know already that risk is the future event that is going to happen, that may become negative for the project completion, that might be negative for the project objective. So we anticipate at the early stage, and then we plan a mitigation for that one. So if this risk happens, then what is the alternate way for us? Can we still come up with our POC? Can we still complete our wave one, the pilot phase, the wave one? Can we still come up if this risk is there? So for that, we will come up with the alternate way, whether we are going to do it with the available data or complete data is required. If complete data is not there, and then can we take some alternate MEP values to complete our wave one? So like that we come up with the mitigation steps for the risk. So risk is always a future event which we are anticipating at the time of planning. Okay, and issue. So issue is something that event has happened. Issue has happened. So we need to address it on the urgent basis. So the management have to take a corrective action to address the issue which has already occurred into the team. And whenever the issue happens, so we will be checking whether it was taken as a risk. Was it measured earlier? If not, then we check during our retrospective that why was this not recorded earlier, this kind of issue, why it has happened. All those we check, and we check the impact, we do the impact analysis also for the issue. Like if this has happened, then what all processes, what all of our work has impacted, can we still go ahead and achieve our goal? So all these impact analysis will be done. At the time of risk we went with the mitigation plan, but when the issue happened we went for the impact analysis for that. And then so management together, we have to address those issues on the urgent basis so that we will be able to meet our milestones. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Preeti, for that. Okay, so next one is little interesting. Uh, so let's say when you start a new project, right?
Yeah.
How would you or how would your team decide the number of stories to include in the first sprint? Because now we don't have any velocity, right? Nothing like that.
Yeah.
So what different factors would you consider, or different parameters would you consider in making this decision? So that's the question, Preeti.
Yeah. So when you say it's a new project, means we will be starting with sprint one. So usually sprint zero also we include. That will be kind of a preparation and making the team understand about the requirements, and also we call that as sprint zero. And then when we start the sprint one, we try to take always less number of users.
We don't have anything called sprint zero. Just to
Yeah,
correct,
yeah,
we
yeah,
call it lot of names, but we don't have sprint zero. Sorry to disagree, but please, sorry, continue.
okay. Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, maybe, yeah, we have adopted it. Maybe that is right or wrong, don't know. But we adopted it just to like make the things arranged for the next sprint. So what all we need to add, the epics, features we need to break down, user stories we need to keep it ready for the sprint one. So we started naming it as sprint zero. Yeah. So when sprint one starts, then the actual work starts. If as it is a initial sprint, so we need the team should get the confidence. So for that, we usually take the less number of user stories, and we check the capacity of the team as well. Based on that, we pull, but we will be taking less number of user stories so that team will not be demotivated. So if they are not able to achieve, if we add more user stories at the initial stage, if they are not able to achieve, there are chances that they may get demotivated. So for that reason, initial stage we take less, and so we try to add the MEP only, so which will give confidence to customer as well. So we need to showcase something, the P1 MEP values only we have to deliver at the initial stage. So we focus on those priority one MEPs also in the sprint one. So which are like a login screen or something, so which will give confidence to customer as well. This is how most of the team time will be doing. And more important is sprint one usually will be for the setting up the processes. Okay, so we ensure that team has understood how to break the user stories into tasks, how to start estimating the tasks, provide the estimation for the user stories. So we try to spend more time in estimation techniques, breaking down the user stories, making the user stories simpler and making it a small task. So we focus on those in the first sprint one.
Wonderful. Thank
Yeah.
you, Preeti, for that. Okay, so this next one is, I think this is most frequently asked question. So, as a Scrum Master, how would you address a situation where a team member frequently missing the sprint planning or a daily Scrum meeting? So, what is the impact, and what steps would you take to address this issue? And to ensure that the team is aligned and they participate in all the Scrum events. So, your take on that, Preeti?
Yeah. So this is a very common situation for every Scrum Master. So why? Because when we implement new process for people would be in waterfall, there will not be much process. It is like initially we plan and at the end we deliver it. Whenever there is a new process has been implemented, any Scrum Agile methodology has been implemented. So this comes the first challenge for us. So we need to understand the reason behind why the team member is not able to attend the meetings or it's the ceremonies. Maybe it's because they might be having the conflicts, or they might not be knowing the importance of that ceremony which we have requested them to attend. And very important is when they are in a Scrum team, for them the high priority is attending the ceremonies of the Scrum. So no matter which meetings they are having, but first priority always goes to the Scrum ceremonies. There is no excuse from not attending the Scrum ceremonies. So some conflict meetings definitely may come because like there is a dependency task or something, they have to take it from the person whose calendar is really very busy. That is the only slot they have got. Those are sometimes it can happen, but it should not be the regular practice for them. That's why they have to give the high priority to the ceremonies which we have scheduled in the Scrum. Okay. And we have to, and there might be some chances they might be having the personal problems as well. Maybe the timing is not suitable for them. Some people in the team might be 50% allocated for us, so they might be having the other team Scrum also at the same time. That time we need to check the common slot for all of us, then we have to change our schedule to meet their slot. So that we do for the team. But if they are having a personal reason which is not unacceptable, then we go ahead and reiterate the importance of these ceremonies. We discuss with them and we tell them the impact of they not attending these ceremonies. So especially if I take example of daily Scrum, so we see the progress of their work on the daily basis. So it's not like a micromanagement, but it is to help them that incrementally they are able to make that complete that user story. Okay, so we cannot complete all work at a time. 1 week completely we cannot take for one work, or 2 weeks completely we cannot. So we have to break our work and do it. So that's how we help them. So if they are not able to complete their work in one day which they have committed, so small tasks which they have committed, then we try to understand that why, what was the impediment for them, so what was the blocker for them, why they could not complete it. That's how step by step we help them. So like this we try to help them understanding the importance of these daily stand-ups. And this is a transparent for the team. Some people might be dependent on their work, so for them this the message or the content which they are sharing in the daily scrum would be very helpful for them. They will be trying to understand whether their dependent work is getting completed or not. Are they on track to get their dependent work done, so to meet their milestone? So that also will be helpful. And we will keep an open discussion also during our scrum. So first initial will be giving importance for like what has completed and what they're planning to do, what were the blockers and all those. But if time permits, then we try to request them to share if they have any blockers or any dependent work is not being given to us. We request them to share it, so that offline they will be going and discussing and getting those things done. So these are important. And coming to like other ceremonies of plannings and all, if one person is missing, then it's difficult to make a collaborative discussion and come to a common goal for the sprint. So and when we go for the review, so we need to understand that whether we have completed what we have committed, all the backlogs, so we have completed all the sprint backlogs we have completed or not. If not completed, then what was the reason for not completing and all that we will review in our sprint review. And when we do the retrospective also, everybody's voice matters to us, because it's a continuous improvement for us. If any process which we have followed is not correct, which has consumed more time or which has led to not complete any of our work, then we can eliminate that. We can take some new process, and we can improve our this processes and all. So that is the reason we, this is how we go and tell them the importance of attending all the ceremonies. And we identify the solution also, as I mentioned, to finding the common slots for them, or if planning due to some people are sick or something, they are not able to attend, then we try to get the details from other people and only sometime and commit a goal. And we will be setting the expectation to them. If we have communicated the importance to them, yes, we will set the expectation also for them to give the priority to these ceremonies and come and attend this. And we keep monitoring after providing all these details and helping them. So we keep monitoring their progresses, so whether they are on the daily basis they are attending or not, or still the same behavior is there. And we provide the support also to them, whatever is required. We provide the support also for the work, what support is required, we provide it. And if still the person is not turning, then last step becomes the escalation for us to inform it to the higher leadership team. But that is the very last step. We usually don't go till that, but we try to address it when we do the when we monitor the progress for them. So when we try to explain them the importance, so those stages only we try to make the things come on this line.
Great, wonderful. Cool. Okay, let's move on. So this question looks easy, but it's not. And the question is, what's the key difference between a Scrum and a Kanban methodology? And if you can give some examples or scenarios where one approach might be preferred over the other, based on the project
Yeah.
characteristics. So yeah, that's the question, Preeti.
Yeah. So for as per my experience, so I have worked on Kanban. Initially, I started with Kanban, then I moved to Scrum, and I have done Safe, and Safe team also I got opportunity to work. So major things. So when we go for a Scrum, so Scrum is majorly it's based on the our empirical process controls. So what we say is our transparency, inspection, adaptations. So we will be focusing more on those at the in Scrum most of the time. And Scrum helps us to go for the iterative development. And we have the cross functional teams in Scrum. More important thing in Scrum is like we have roles, artifacts, everything predefined in Scrum. So that's how These three are part of our agile framework only, but still they differ in their principles, methodologies and all, they differ. So like that, like roles are already predefined for scrum. So we have scrum master, PO and the development team in scrum. And the ceremonies, so we have a sprint planning, or daily scrum, that is the stand up we call, and sprint review, sprint retrospective. These are already predefined. So why it is for scrum usually is having lesser than 10 members in their team. So implementing these ceremonies will help them to become very what I say, it makes their work easier. So step by step planning and daily tracking their work completion, helping them by tracking individual work completion and reviewing at the end, like whatever was committed, whatever was the goal, so whether we have met or not. And retrospective helps what went well, what did not go well. So this is how scrum helps the smaller team always. Okay, and when we come to the artifact, as I told, we will be using the product backlog and the increments. So we have the sprint backlogs, we have product backlog, and then increment we will be doing it. And we check for the sustainability also for the team. So if we have implemented scrum, so whether team it is helpful for the team and whether team is able to sustain with this framework. That, and coming to Kanban. Okay, more Kanban more focuses on visualizing the workflow, and so limiting the work in progress. And as we do a continuous improvement, part of scrum is the retrospective. Here we call it as a continuous improvement process only, we call, there is no new name. We just call it as a continuous improvement, and we gather together and try to implement improve the processes which we are following. And here there are no predefined roles and ceremonies. This is if I want to give an example for Kanban, usually we used to use it for the maintenance project where the priority keeps changing. So it is just take a backlog item from the backlog, prioritize it and work on it and complete it. It's like this, it won't be having a goal, or it is not having fixed sprint iterations or something. It is not there in Kanban. It is the prioritize the item, pick it and complete it. That's how the Kanban works. Okay, so and coming to a safe, so here the alignment with the teams and activities, and strategizing the objectives, those all comes into the picture. So why we go for safe other than scrum is, safe is for the bigger teams. In scrum we use 10 or lesser than 10 members in scrum, but when there is a very complex project, like we say healthcare devices and all, those will be having 150 to 170 members in one, as one program team. So here what we do is we divide them into smaller scrum team, and then objective will be same for the complete team, but the work will be distributed amongst those team. More collaboration is required between all those teams. So we need to implement the built-in qualities and transparency between the multiple teams. And the roles also differ here. So we do planning for 2.5 days. 2 days is usually we say, the next zero point 0.5 days we take for adjusting the items if anything is required, any more communication is required, we take buffer of 2 days. So whereas we see our scrum we do for 1 hours of meeting, but planning meeting, but as safe goes on 2 days of timing it requires. As no, we see that business owners comes and define the objectives in scrum, and different roles are also here. Here PM comes into the picture, program manager comes and prioritize the art. There we call backlog items in scrum, but here agile release train we call in safe. And we have a RTE, and we have a system teams, there we call scrum team, but in safe we call it as a system team. Okay, and we have a different ceremonies here also already predefined, that our PI planning, inspect and adopt is there. And we have artifacts here as a program backlog and program increment here. And at the end, so here also we'll be having the solution and system demos, where we will be having the scrum demo in scrum, but here we call it as a system and solution demo. These are the major I found when I was working on these different frameworks.
Great, Preeti. Preeti, I think we are good for today. So thank you, Preeti. Definitely, we're going to have third session with you. We still have a lot of questions left. So thank you for sharing your experience with all of us, and your knowledge has been very helpful. I would say I thoroughly enjoyed this session, and I'm sure that our viewers have learned a lot from this session, the previous session. So before we finish, I just want to remind our viewers to show their support by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and yeah, by doing that, you will be stay updated with the latest industry tips, interviews, career advice. So all this you will get over here at CareersTalk. So until next time, take care, stay inspired, keep achieving great things. This is Sunan Sharma signing off. Thank you, Preeti, one more time.
Thank you, Zinan. Thank you all. Bye bye.